All right, good morning. It's August 23rd now. But some of my videos are going to be rants and raves, rants, rants and raves. I don't know what that means. Uh, but rants about the VA, and some are going to be informative information that can do you good as a veteran. Um, so my rant for today. All right, my rant for today, for yesterday. Okay. So I've been having this shortness of breath for years, and you know, I didn't know what it was. So one time I was having a really bad shortness of breath, and I knew that it wasn't emergent. Okay, my fingernails weren't turning blue, my lips weren't turning blue, but I kept having this quick cough and quick, just quick stabbing annoyance down in my chest area, just below the rib cage or inside my rib cage. It's kind of weird. So what I did was, when I was having one of these attacks, was that I went to an asthma center. Like right then, I went there and they saw me. And they said, "Well, you have asthma." They did a full test, gave me an inhaler, and I took another test after that. So I told my primary care provider about that, and I gave them the test results. Well, they never gave me anything for asthma, but what they did do was that I asked for a second opinion um, at the VA hospital, which I had to drive an hour and a half to do this test. So I did the test and I wasn't having any symptoms, and everything was fine. A lot different than my previous test. So my primary care provider acted on that last test. Now, so I still have these episodes now and then, but ever since Monday, I've been having them quite often, and tonight I kept having them. They were back to back. So what I did, I went to urgent care, and I told them this whole thing, and so they prescribed me an inhaler. So I came home, I went and got the inhaler. It was $63, and that's $63 out of my, out of our budget, when the VA should have picked it up from the very beginning, and so I do a lot of research about my health, about other people's health, and because I have a lot of complex of issues, like I have tachycardia, and I don't know if it's because of my anxiety, my panic attacks. I know that my panic attacks cause me to have uh, high heart rate when I'm in a full-blown panic attack, but on a daily basis, my heart rate's 100, 108, and but I have checked my pulse when I wake up, and it's in the 80s, so they like to use that as your resting heart rate is right after you wake up. But I'm concerned about having heart problems in the future because of my heart rate. Now they have given me a Tylenol for it, and after me fighting for them to do actual tests, I was on a Tylenol for 2 years, and they didn't do any heart tests besides EKGs. I've had lots of EKGs or ECGs now, but finally they did they looked at my heart, and I wore a Holter monitor for 24 hours, and everything looked good. Just a few minor problems, but nothing out of the ordinary for my age. So anyways, I'm also in pain a lot, if I don't take my pain medication, which I've only took it 2 times today. I'm trying to get off of it because I feel like the VA is trying their hardest to get me off the medication that my surgeon put me on. And so I went to urgent care, and I was having, I don't know, I always feel this way, so I think it's normal, but in reality, it's not normal because I'm just accustomed to it, just like I'm accustomed to pain. So I went there and I told them, what's happened and what was going on, and I had no wheezing, and my O2 was 99, but I was still having symptoms of asthma, and so he gave me an inhaler to take 4 times a day. So I went and got it, and I took it, and I'm breathing a lot better now. Thank goodness. And And so that's my kind of rant for tonight. But it also is that I found out why my doctor, the chief medical officer, did not give me a 30-day supply of medication like he told me. It's because he thinks that my old orthopedic surgeon, they have this system where they can tell all opiates and what you're on, and how much they gave you and stuff like that. He thinks that my orthopedic surgeon was tapering me off my medication, which he gave me before the surgery anyways last month to help cope with my pain, because they knew I didn't have any pain management. But apparently at the last visit with him before I fired him, he forgot that I didn't have any pain management yet. And so I looked. That's why it's real important to get My Healthy Vet, because they're required to put their notes in your file. And if you get My Healthy Vet, you got to set up the premium account, which you get at your clinic, and you can use the VA Blue button and look at your lab results and your active problem list and all the notes and everything else on there. And so that's why it's very, very awesome to get My Healthy Vet. For the older generation that's not really computer savvy, hey, you know what? Learn something new. My grandfather, he was a Navy veteran, in Vietnam, and he could not operate a computer worth nothing. And so I'm sure he missed out on some of the benefits because he didn't want to even learn how to use the computer, or, how to communicate with his doctor more efficiently. But so anyways, I found out that now he is trying to taper me off my pain medication. And I found that out yesterday, and I completely wrote him a letter about why that was not true, and that he should also look into my appointments. The other reason was, I went from taking 7.5 hydrocodone to every 4 to 6 hours to 10 milligrams every 6 hours. So on top of that, and on top of me taking my clonazepam for my panic attacks, which I have gone from 2 milligrams a day to about half a milligram to maybe a milligram a day, just depending on my anxiety and my panic attacks. And on the fact that I missed my therapy appointment, not a psychiatrist appointment to manage my medication for my PTSD and my panic attacks and stuff like that, which my psychiatrist retired last month, and my psychiatrist appointment for med management is being choiced out and is not until late September. So I called him on it, because he was thinking that appointment was for med management, for psychiatry. It wasn't. It was for a social worker to see, which one I was, if I was going to do CBD therapy, prolonged exposure therapy, group therapy. That was that appointment, what that appointment was for. And he called me too when I missed it. And what happened was that I was in pain all night, and about 5 o'clock that morning, I finally fell asleep. And my appointment was at 9, and he called me at 9:30, and I was like, man, I'm so sorry, And so anyways, that was his reason. That's his reasoning right now to stop me on my pain medication. And I don't know what's going to happen. I've filed formal complaints. And that's another thing, is filing complaints against your doctors, okay? First, there's a supervisor at the clinic. File a complaint with them. Tell them you disagree with his decision. And then, if they don't act, go to your patient advocacy. I always say 48 hours is enough time to get a proper answer. 48 hours. After 48 hours, move on the chain of command. Go to your patient advocacy, okay? Write it out in a letter. Let them know what's going on, date it, have them sign it. Everything needs to be in writing. The next thing you do, if they don't want to do anything, 48 hours, you got 48 hours with them too, is then go to the VISN director, which is the director of all the VAs in that area, Like there's like 20 different VISNs or something like that. VISN. And they are they are the office that oversees all the VAs in your region. And then make a complaint with them. You call them and then you say, I want to make a formal complaint against this doctor or my health care or this delay of care or whatever. Go to them and give them 48 hours. I give them usually a week, because what they do is they give the formal complaint. They will email you a copy of the formal complaint. Then they send it to the VA, and then it goes from the top down. And then they get a response. And then you get a response from the VISN office. The VISN has like the director of the VISN, chief medical officer, chief of this and chief of that and chief of this, and they're very experienced doctors that oversee their VAs in the region. And then of course you have the White House hotline and congressmen, because congressmen, of course, are the actual bosses of the VA. So 40 hours on every one of them. So you know what? If the VISN doesn't want to take care of the problem, go walk into your congressman's office. They will take care of you. Give them the time that they need, and they'll take care of you. And it's as simple as that. Don't go in heavy-headed. Don't go in with a chip on your shoulder. Just let them know what's going on, and let them take care of you. And that's what I have to say about this today. Have a good night.